biggest challenge for me is homesickness and navigating a sense of loneliness that comes with that.
Welcome, educators. Are you a global educator? I'm your host, Baika, at Global Educators, where educators and parents from all around the world come together to talk about education, emotional intelligence, and mental health awareness. Now, this episode is about teaching abroad, specifically teaching in Vietnam. We have an amazing educator here to walk you through what it's like teaching abroad and what it's like for teaching in Vietnam. Today's speaker is a global educator who is passionate about empowering learners through meaningful communication, culturally responsive teaching, and practical skills that build confidence. She is here today to talk about what it's like living and teaching abroad and what it truly means to be a global educator. Now, she's more than just a teacher. She enjoys exploring new cultures, creating engaging learning materials, supporting professionals in developing strong communication and customer service skills. Her mission here is to help learners find their voice, unlock their potential, and thrive, whether it might be in a classroom, workplace, or in a new country. And I'm glad to call her as my friend. Welcome, Neesy. Thank you for
Hi, thank you so
and
much.
joining me here today. Okay, first, introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Baika, for that lovely introduction. It's great to be here. Hello, everyone. My name is Nisa Ramya. Everyone calls me Neesy or Teacher Neesy, and I've been living in Vietnam for about 2 years. I'm South African, and I have a wide range of teaching experience from teaching in various different classroom settings too.
So, how long have you been teaching abroad?
I've been teaching for several years. I've also taught English for 1 year in South Korea, and that was in 2018. And I went back home, and I had no intention of going abroad again or teaching abroad again. I've worked in industry for a while when I got home, and then I went back into teaching because I missed it so much. And then I got a few emails from Vietnam, particularly just being headhunted. And I ignored the call to go abroad because I wanted to stay home. Then in 2023, I said, why the hell not? Let's go abroad. Let's do this again. Let's see what the whole fuss is about. So I've been in Vietnam teaching for about 2 years. And I've started off in lower secondary, just teaching grade 6, grade 7 English. And then moved up to grade 8 and grade 9, teaching English the following year. And currently, I am teaching grade 11 and grade 12 biology and English. I do have experience teaching biology too, but that was just for a little while back at home. And I do mostly enjoy teaching biology than straight ESL. It's much more challenging, and it's much more, it leaves more of a creative outlet too. Currently, how the job that I'm in, we work as an integrated company with the government across public schools in Ho Chi Minh City. And we go to various public schools and we see different classroom environments and different roles of leadership in each school, which can be challenging and rewarding depending on the area that we're in. But nonetheless, we teach English as guest teachers at the school that we're at or we are assigned to, and we have a set schedule per semester or per academic year.
You have a very extensive, beautiful background. And what would you say is the best part of teaching?
For me, the most rewarding aspects of teaching is watching students grow in confidence. It's that moment when you look at the student and then something just clicks. The smile, the excitement that they just feel on the inside. It almost gives you a sense of achievement, and knowing that I've had a small hand and that makes my work incredibly fulfilling. So, I mean, as we know that being a teacher is extremely energy draining. You're constantly listening to noise and complaints in a larger sense. So when at least one learner is grateful for you being in front of them, that makes everything, all the work and everything else that comes in between worth it. Teaching abroad allows you to step out of your comfort zone and see education through a completely different lens. You gain a deeper understanding of how children learn across various cultures, and you also build strong relationships with people you might never have met otherwise. There's also a sense of adventure, new food, new friendships, new places to explore that maybe you wouldn't have back home. And I feel like I like to call it time zone, like every piece of land or time zone that you're at has something new to offer. And experience is experience, whether you find it worthwhile or not. I think that going through something that no one else has gone through, or maybe possibly people that you can also relate to, is is part of your journey, and there's always a lesson in it.
What is the difference between like teaching in your, own country where you understand the language, you get to communicate with the students, fully. Here, like as a foreigner, what do you think is the biggest difference between teaching in your own versus teaching foreign country?
Back home, teaching feels familiar. You instinctively know how the children behave. You know cultural references, expectations, and norms and upbringings. And abroad, living abroad, everything is new. You have to learn how to read the room. You have to know how to do that in a way that makes you more adaptable, adapt your communication style, be more open to alternative ways of doing things. That even though you've come in and stepped into a society to do a service that they've asked you to do, you still need to acclimate to the land, to their societal norms. You have come here teaching English, and that's it. You are not here to instill any particular views or values that the society already has, even though a language comes with all of that. Language is not just learning, vocabulary and grammar. It comes with a certain style and background and culture to it too. So I think that that's the biggest difference. Here you are teaching a language. Back at home you are teaching a subject. So it can be a bit challenging, but if you leave yourself open to adapting your ways into a new society, it pushes you more, it makes you more intentional, it allows you to be more creative and just push your boundaries a little bit. So I think that could be challenging, but also rewarding at the same time for you as an individual.
What are the challenges that an expat or like a teacher, foreigner might face when they are teaching in another country?
I think the biggest challenge for me is homesickness and navigating a sense of loneliness that comes with that. I think that people at home may think that you're going overseas and this is a big adventure for you. But I think many of us also need to understand that I've come abroad to work, and most of my time in the day is working. And my schedule has been so full and jam packed that my social life has also hasn't been the greatest, I would say. But so it's very important to keep a balanced lifestyle and to also know that you've come here for a purpose. Sometimes, you miss milestones that have happened at home, you miss losses and you're grieving, or there are things that are just happening and you can't be there. You simply cannot be there because maybe there's a time frame. I know me personally, there's a time frame that I need to be here. It's not always easy to go home because it's very far away and it takes a lot of financial strain and time and effort to do so, even though those things may not be as important in the bigger scheme of things. But I think what people don't understand is that you're here to work and you're not. Some people, yes, they're here for adventure and they're here to really, live life. And I think that's a misunderstanding when I know, especially as South Africans, we try our best to make ends meet by educating ourselves and finding work. And that has been the greatest challenge, I think, is being homesick because that is where I want to be at the end of the day. I think also experiencing communication barriers with, you know, locals. They're both sides, inside and outside the classroom, can be tiring too. So teaching is a draining profession in itself. And I think what many people don't understand, especially back at home, is that teaching doesn't pay a lot and you're dealing with a lot. And so as much as this may seem like a big deal for most people who don't have opportunities to go overseas, it is still something that can be a challenge. I mean, you miss the comfort of familiarities and you miss the comfort of just being in your homeland and tasting the food and being around your parents and or your loved ones and your friends who just get you. Um, so as much as this can be an adventure, for me personally, it has had a huge challenging side. And I think the loneliness of being homesick has been the greatest challenge for me to get used to. Well, at first I had to adjust to the speed of daily life. I wouldn't say the speed because some things are quite, I mean, it's fast and convenient pace of living. When you look at things from afar, you can see that everything is moving very fast. And so you think you need to also be like that. But I think it was more for me just adjusting with work and having like different ideas about time and communication and food, social norms, and even school expectations were all new to me. So I think for me, that would have been the biggest culture shock is just seeing how different groups of people also live. Families that are from different social economic backgrounds live very differently and expect different things and they don't really think about people's problems. And I think that's a global thing, but I've seen it more so here. I definitely see it back at home too. But here, everyone lives the same, whether you are of higher status or lower status, and that is like people still keep their traditions. It's a very homogenous society. So people are the same, but they are different based on their socioeconomic background, and they are treated differently naturally because of that. And I see that with schools and the school equipment and facilities and their upbringing and values can often change according to their parents' expectations. But over time, what once felt unfamiliar has now become a rhythm of living abroad and just going with the flow and just realizing that nothing is that deep and whatever expectations that you might have and whatever skill set that you may bring can often be disregarded because you just need to adapt and go with the flow and just be a local. Take it as how the locals will take it. You are a guest in the country and you are a guest teacher and you are only with the children for a little while during the week. You are a very small yet significant part in their learning journey. So just make it as memorable and as for both you and the learners and as exciting as you can, and that sometimes things are not that deep. I've learned to build a support network, friends, colleagues, and other expats that understand the journey that we here, especially the ones that have come to work or have a purpose of being here. Those are the ones that I relate to the most. I've also made it a conscious um, decision in my life to make time for friends and family back at home to keep me healthy and humble and sane. And I also have to remind myself that this is the path that I've chosen in the first place, and flexibility and patience go a long way. So keeping a routine, which is also challenging because you're not used to the weather, the food, the environment. So that in itself is can drain your energy, but you also just need to be disciplined. And discipline is very difficult for a lot of people to achieve or to incorporate in their life, but it does make the journey easier when you have a sense of routine and a relatable network around you.
And do you think you've become way more independent?
I think I've always been an independent person. Um, However, coming into my formative years and into adulthood, I relied more on my strength and my emotional strength from my parents because I'm at an age now where I can fully understand how they sort of raised me because I'm at the age where they had children that they were raising and it came with their own challenges, and I don't have children of my own. And so I think there's developed a deeper respect for my parents, and I think that as much as I grew up so independent and doing things on my own for quite a long time, I find myself longing more for my parents and my homeland now than I ever did before. One of my favorite memories, I remember taking my first Grab drive or Grab ride. That was the most thrilling experience that I've ever had in Vietnam. I've tried riding a motorbike, but that didn't go very well because I can't ride a bicycle. And these streets are quite rough. They're rough. They're noisy as well. And it's always been a dream of mine to drive a scooter, but I just haven't. Just because I'm scared. I've also been invited to weddings, which is great. Watching my students proudly use English in real life situations, which have been great. Just discovering little hidden gems around the city too, with alone and with some friends. I also like the safety that the city brings, especially for tourists and women. Oh, in the sense that I've experienced it anyway. And I think as much as we may find that this land can be quite rough and tough to work in, there's a lot of kindness that you may encounter along the way that surprises you too.
Are some advices for people that are moving to Vietnam for the first every time?
Yes, number one, I would say come with an open mind. Things may not work the way you want or the way you expect, but if you stay flexible and adapt quickly, you'll soon find yourself engaging and enjoying your time a bit more than if you would have to keep your expectations quite high. Number two, I would say learn a bit of Vietnamese. Even simple phrases and words will go a long way. It shows that you're wanting to connect with locals. It shows that you're making an effort. And it shows that you have a respect for their culture and land, which will also allow you to gain some trust, especially when you get lost or you need help in online shopping or any of those things that you need to do locally. That will definitely help you in the long run. So learn a bit of Vietnamese. And I think the third thing is build connections early. Join teacher groups, find mentors, talk to locals, um, have a good expat community that you can lean to and maybe just vent to when you need to. They'll often help you navigate everything from housing to classroom dynamics, even networking with some locals that have helped them in the past that you can trust. So that's always good to build connections early. So I would think come with an open mind, learn about the Vietnamese, and build connections earlier. I think just
Go into teaching strategies a little bit. What are your advice for someone who's teaching for the first time?
I found that students respond best when the learning is active and hands on, especially as a foreign language. So, clear modeling and visuals, games, scaffolding all the time support language learning immensely. I also rely on routines, have a structure to your lessons all the time. And different grades appreciate praise and reward in different ways. So keep that in mind. Learning the psychology between different age groups of rewarding and praise may also help you engage with your students. Um, Breaking down your content into manageable chunks. Remember that even though you're teaching one age group, they could be at various levels knowing the language. So breaking down the lesson or the language or your expectations into manageable chunks of learning so that it doesn't create a big cognitive load. Some students you can push further, but some you need to just keep at their level so that they don't lose their confidence when learning the language. But I think above all, keep your lessons practical, keep it engaging, keep it relatable and relevant to their everyday life, and of course, encouraging too.
And what is the one last message that you have for anyone listening?
If there's one thing I'd like to leave you all with is just stay curious. Whether you're teaching, learning, or exploring a new country, or coming abroad for the first time, curiosity opens doors, strengthens your connections, and turns your challenges into opportunities. Remember, your network is your net worth. So if there's anything I want to leave you with, it's just to stay curious because it goes a long way.